This is the way it feels to move through summer in Lululemon. Iconic Align softness without the front seam. For our smoothest look and feel ever, summer won't know what hit it. Stretch your limits in the non-stop flexibility of the new Lululemon Align No-Line Pant in select stores and at Lululemon.com.
Meet the most capable CR-V Honda has ever dreamed of. The all-new CR-V Trail Sport Hybrid. With all-terrain tires and available enhanced traction control, it's built for wherever the day takes you. Heated front seats and a heated steering wheel, ideal for winter drives and crisp early starts. And with generous cargo space, it's ready for big gear and even bigger getaways. The CR-V Trail Sport Hybrid. Learn more at honda.com/CRV.
Hey, what's happening? This is your host Tinto, and I wish I could show you guys how big the smile on my face is, because the road to our first 1,000 ratings on Spotify is looking more and more real. We're just left with 76 more feelers to say, hey, we like this podcast and we're giving it a 5-star rating, and we will hit that 1,000 5-star rating mark. So if you're part of that small group of people that is taking their time to, rate the podcast, pick up the pace a little bit, and please help me make the end of this week really, really great and fantastic. Increasing ratings helps people discover the podcast, and your quick tap means the world to me and the podcast as a whole. So before you listen to this next juicy episode, please go ahead and bless us with a 5-star rating. Thanks, and I appreciate you.
We used to be best friends, used to do good things together. Oh no, but no more. It's just a distant memory. My homie, buddy, cousin, it all just fell apart. I'm sorry.
Nah, I'm not sorry.
It's just a distant memory. Yeah, yeah. Said, who's bestie? Tata Chico, come on. Tata Chico, come on. My nini. Said, who's bestie? Tata Chico, come on. Tata Chico, come on. My nini. Said, who's bestie? Tata Chico, come on. Tata Chico, come on. My nini. Said, who's bestie? Tata Chico, come on. Tata Chico, come on.
Hi, Tinto.
Yo, what's up? How's it going?
Good, good. Looking forward to this.
Welcome to the Feeling Station.
Thank you.
That thank you was a bit weak, bruh. What's that?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Put some respect on the pod, innit?
No, but for real, Tinto, you've done so amazing with this pod. I just want to give you your props before we start, that you're absolutely amazing.
Hey, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The support goes a long way. It's a lot of work, the recording, the timing. I mean, the amount of effort we've put into finding a time that works. And then we've had our system challenges. Then I'm going to have to do the recording, the edit, the checking, the posting, publishing, the show notes. Yeah, it's a lot. So hearing this kind of feedback and support really goes a long way. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. I appreciate you for starting this podcast.
Thanks. And so, so if you're new to the podcast and you're listening for the first time, it's a romantic, family, and friendship breakup podcast that showcases stories that people would like to talk about with a view to give you lessons from their experiences. Now, I hope you find today's story entertaining, but more importantly, meaningful. And the podcast is popular for two main reasons. The first being I do my best to keep my guests anonymous by giving them a name from the African continent. And so I've gone over to Cameroon for your name, my friend.
Ooh.
And in specific, I've given your name from the Bakweri people. And your name is Tande, which is Tande, Tande.
Okay.
And what that means is joy bringer. So somebody who makes people happy.
Oh.
Yeah, a joy bringer.
What? That's beautiful.
Yeah. Are you a joy bringer?
I would like to think so, yeah.
Nice.
I would like to believe that, actually.
Nice. So your name is Tande. Hopefully you remember that.
Okay.
And
I will.
What name are you giving the person that you are talking about today?
So I'm just gonna give her the name Mom.
Oh.
Because of course she's my mom.
Oh, you're speaking about Mom.
Yeah.
Okay. This is quite different because we've had lately, there's been a lot of conversations about dads. And you coming,
Oh.
so you coming from the mum side. This is going to be interesting. Yeah, cool. So today we're talking about Tande and mum. And the second reason why the podcast is really popular is they're real life lessons that people learn from the story that you're going to share. So what would you like anybody walking away? What would you like anybody listening to your episode today to walk away with?
So I have 3 lessons. I struggled to bring it down, but I have 3. The first one, intergenerational trauma repeats until it is addressed.
Oh, do you know what? That is actually what they call generational cycles, isn't it?
Exactly.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Nice. Oh, that's a good one. I like that. Got a second?
All right, good. Yes. Second one is conditional love is not love.
It's love. It's just conditional.
It is not love, my friend.
Okay. So conditional love is not love. And
it kind of goes on to the love bombing topic that you guys have been talking about.
Right. Okay. Oh, by the way, that's had quite interesting feedback. Some people said that they couldn't listen to the rest of it because a lot of what was being discussed was not aligned properly. We should have done research to find out what it is. But we actually make reference to the definition as defined online by various people, which then sets that foundation. So I don't know. People have their own appetites for what they want to listen to and what they don't. But I think if they're a bit more patient, they'd have got to the end and the real definition was given. And a lot of what they were saying love bombing was exactly what we said it was towards the end anyway. So if you're listening to this episode and you didn't give the love bombing episode a chance, just be a bit patient. Don't give us conditional love on the podcast because right. Okay, you got a third lesson.
And the third lesson is seeking peace can mean creating distance, and choosing yourself is not betrayal.
Oh, I love that a lot. I really love that because there's a lot of what you're talking about that relates to a lot of the dad episodes that have come out. And it talks about primarily forgiveness being more for you than it is for the other person because you deserve to give yourself peace.
Amen. That's it.
And that's what this is.
Exactly.
So I'll just play those back real quick before we go in. Number 1, intergenerational trauma repeats itself until it's addressed. Number 2, conditional love is not love. And then number 3, seeking peace can mean creating distance, and choosing yourself is not betrayal. Cool.
Correct.
Tande, this is a story about you and mum. Please walk us through it. Start wherever you feel you need to start.
Okay. So I think narcissistic personalities is something that a lot of people just throw away and say, right? And I'm sure for a lot of people, they can say, my whatever is narcissistic. But I actually want to tell you the actual definition of that.
Ooh, okay.
And it is people who have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. So they're preoccupied with their own desires and their own needs. So this is basically mom in a nutshell.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll sort of start at my grandmother from my dad's side, so my paternal grandmother hated my mom.
Why?
So when my parents got married, she hated her. I think part of it was the fact that she was from a different country. So she's not Zimbabwean. Okay. She was from somewhere different.
Right. Okay.
And then I think it was, I don't know, now again, I don't know actually whether it was her nature or maybe she saw something that she didn't like, but she hated her and she made her life quite difficult. Now, in doing that, so obviously my parents got married, they had me, then my dad cheated on my mom. And then on top of that...
How did you find this out as a child?
You see, this is where it's very complicated because I didn't know until I secretly met my half-sister at 2.
Secretly met
but she was 2. I was 9. Yeah. So my dad was like, let's go hush-hush. Let's go meet this child. And I had no idea who this child was. And we took photos with this child. And this child was also not even maybe a few months difference from my sister. So now there's two-year-olds, like what is it? Those hood twins, right? Like, and I had no idea what was going on. It was just, hey, don't tell your mom about this. And
I'll tell you, I'm asking a question. I wasn't just being unnecessarily curious or prying, but the episode that 2 episodes ago from here, if my memory serves well, I think it's episode 212. The girl who was narrating the story. The episode is called "Welcome to Egoville." My guest who was narrating the story, accidentally let the cat out the bag, which made her mum discover that, okay, dad was cheating. And then mom decided to tell the rest of the kids that, okay, this is what had happened. And the discussion amongst my friends and on X or /Twitter has now been, should parents ever really tell kids that there's been infidelity within the marriage? And then it's been a whole.
But you're gonna know anyway.
Well, yeah. I mean, some do, some don't. So it was split right in the middle. 50% were saying yes, kids should be told by parents. 50% were saying no, kids shouldn't be told by parents. That's why I was asking how you found out, because it's feeding into an episode that we've done, and it's a genuine discussion right now. And for you found out because your dad wanted you to know.
But I barely knew that. So I didn't even know. It wasn't like, this is your sister. It was like, hey, let's take photos. And because at the time we were actually moving abroad. So it was almost like a hello and goodbye.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
But on top of this, Tinto, my dad not only cheated, but he married this woman. So now he had 2 wives.
Yeah, but.
Hey.
So when you say he married, okay, this is a stupid question. Well, at least it's becoming more interesting the more I talk about this with some friends and peers, etc., etc. We are one of the only few cultures that actually has 2 weddings. So there's the Rora component, which is our traditional wedding, which is the one that has a lot of substance, a lot of weight to it. And then there's the white wedding, which is us just mimicking Western culture. So which of these did he do when you said he married this other woman? The first?
Okay, so
which is the more important
so with my mom, it was the both. And with this woman, it was the traditional.
And your mom knew?
So, yes, and my grandmother wanted this because obviously she doesn't like my mom. She liked this woman. This woman was Zimbabwean. She was older, she was more wise, whatever the case may be. So she wanted her to actually be married, or my dad to be married to her.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah. So imagine, obviously, again, I'm talking as someone who knew later, but at the time, me and my mom's relationship was very tense. It was very difficult anyway, as children. I would hear stories of, I would only be around my dad. I would only be comforted by him. I would only have him. So our relationship was never good, even as a child.
What made it that way?
I don't think she was maternal, to be honest. I really don't think she could show affection. Even just the mere hug was like, you would get away from me. So I really don't think we just never clicked. It was never like, this is my person, like this is my mom. But, when we moved from Zim, we moved abroad, and things got so much worse. Because again, I didn't know how deep things were. I just knew people were fighting. There would be violent fights, Tinto. So I'm talking like knives and I'd walk into spaces and see there's a knife or there's a hammer or, I was like, what's going on? But I'm a child, so a lot of it I was just like, okay, whatever, none of my business.
How old were you at this point?
When I was seeing this, I was under 9. So, I was sort of experiencing, it was very turbulent. Their relationship was quite turbulent. And there was a lot of aggression and anger that came from my mom. A lot.
Okay.
And it got worse when we moved because obviously, like when we're back home, we had maids, we had people, live-in people. So at some point, you had to have some kind of discretion that there's people that are here, you know? So there was a level of like, okay, like we can't be doing this stuff. But when we moved, again, I was 9. That's when I became the parentified child. And I don't know if you know that term.
The parentified child?
Yes.
No, I don't know what that means.
So a parentified child is basically someone or a child who is like the third parent in the family, who looks after everyone else. It's usually the oldest child who then takes on a role of like being mom. My parents worked two jobs each. So I had to stay with my sister, and it was just me and my sister. And we were, 7 years apart. So I looked after her. I made sure there was food. I cooked, I cleaned, I did everything in the house because no one was there to do it.
Okay. You're clearly the firstborn.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm coming from a house or where I had maids, where I had people looking after me, to just me now. I'm the maid. I am the cleaner. I am the chef. I am the one. And there was a lot of physical abuse. There was a lot of verbal abuse, a lot of emotional abuse. Like it was, but this time though, because we were abroad, it wasn't as bad, if that makes sense. Like the abuse was still there, but it wasn't like you knives and hammers and this, that. And it was just now like, oh, we have to be careful because people can call CPS.
Yeah.
So it was much more tame, but it was still there, especially the emotional abuse, where I think I was once called a horrible child. I think I was like 12. And you can imagine what that would do to a 12-year-old girl to be called a horrible child. And, like I was doing, like amazing in school. I was a smart kid. I didn't get into any trouble. I was very, quiet, and I listened and I did what I was told. So, yeah, some of those words used to cut quite deep.
And these words are coming from your mum?
Yes.
So what was your dad doing to protect you when all of this was being hurled at you? Was he hurling the same abuse?
Not at all. My dad was not even close to that. He was the supportive parent in my eyes at the time. He was supportive. He was literally my favorite. That was like my guy, right? And I would say that was my best friend, honestly.
Right.
But he didn't do anything. Like, he didn't know, I think also, or maybe he pretended not to know, if that makes sense. Like, you're seeing that your children are not happy, but you kind of really can't say or do anything about it. So there wasn't much protection at all. It was just kind of getting through it, right? And getting by. But one thing that I did notice was that money was a really big deal. So like obviously I was young, I wasn't working, but I would ask for money. Hey, can I have money for this? Can I have money for that? And it would literally be like a guilt trip. I do all of this. I work, that you ended up being like, okay, never mind. Honestly,
this is
it's
when
not
you
worth
asked for money from mum.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Dad was never the guy with the money, if that makes sense. Mom used to make more money than him, and he just always seemed to have money tied up. So like it was always like, no, I don't have money. Maybe ask your mom. So it would always come back to, I still need to ask her anyway. So, but what I decided to do is at 13, I think that's when I realized I don't want to be asking for money. This seems to be too much. I feel bad. I want to make my own money. I started working very young. And yes, I worked in a job that she got me, but again, it was all that control and power. It was like, I still want to have some say about what you're doing and where you're going and all of that.
So what kind of work did you do at the time then?
So I used to work in aged care.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I worked in aged care. I was like a kitchen hand, and I worked there for a while and loved it until I didn't. And then I quit. But I was always constantly trying to look for jobs, always constantly trying to make my own money because I never felt really secure. And Keep in mind, at this time, she's sending money back home all the time, looking after everyone. So my aunties never worked because money was coming in, you know? But at the same time, you'd be hearing her shouting, controlling people. How dare you do this? I pay for this and that. It was this. I'm giving you money, but then there's also ties to that money, right? And when we lived where we were, it was, very small community, so everyone knew each other, and they had a public image to uphold. So it was very, because they were well known, well liked by everyone, so everyone knew who they were. My parents. So again, it was really big that I want to be seen in this particular way. I want to be seen as giving. I want to be seen as loving. So all of this stuff was for show in front of people. She'd be like, I'm so proud of my daughter. She's amazing, this, that. But I would never hear that from her. And, again, I would always hear that from my dad. My dad was always the one who always uplifted and made sure that we were okay. Emotionally, I think specifically. We moved again, though. We moved to a different country. I was 16. And that move, I was at this point at 16 from 9. I'm now literally the peacemaker in the house. I am the one who makes sure my sister's okay. I'm making sure everyone is okay. If there was fights, I was in the middle. I was pretending. I was like, hey, don't talk to each other like this. Maybe don't talk to her. Like, I was always in the middle of the situations.
Sure.
And I was always trying to safeguard and protect. And I think one day I had a conversation with my dad, and I said, do you know I still have a scar from when she hit me with, I think at the time it was like an iron, the rope of the iron, the plug?
The cord, yeah.
The cord, yeah, sorry, the cord. And I still had a scar, and I told him. I don't know what made me tell him, but I told him. And all he did was he put the emergency number on our fridge. And he just said, and he called a family meeting, and we all came, and he just said, I'm just letting you know that if anything happens to you physically, anyone hurts you, you need to call this number.
Sure.
And that was it. That was it. There was no, hey, I heard, there was no conversation. It was just if this happens, just know that you can call this number and everything will be okay.
Hey.
So we were.
I'm speechless because you're describing really hurtful objects.
Yes.
To yourself and
yes.
to themselves. If you're talking about knives and you're talking about, those are really dangerous artifacts to have floating around the house as a choice of weapon to be dealing with arguments. These guys weren't even trying to argue away from you, were they?
No, never.
And
never.
Dad obviously knows that mom is like this. So, there was an opportunity for him to move the conversation away because you've painted the picture that he wasn't like that with you. So, I'd like to think that he cared enough for you not to expose you to this. And that would have normally meant either trying to push the conversation away from the children or defer it to happen when you're just not there. Did you ever get the sense that your dad was scared of your mom?
I don't think he was scared per se, but he was, and I think, with time as I continue with the story, you sort of see how his story fits in this. I think there was a level of I don't want to cause more issues, so I'm not going to get involved. But I'm going to appear as though I'm involved, if that makes sense. I will appear to. So if I was like, no, Dad, this is what happened. She did this, she did that. I would think that he's going to mediate and then go and deal with her privately. But that never happened. So for me, it felt like he just wanted to keep the peace as much as possible and not rock the boat.
But it's not peaceful. It's already rocky.
Exactly. But he didn't think of it in that way. He just sort of thought, no, maybe if we're quiet, maybe if we're silent, it'll be okay. It'll just go away. And it was always often, you know how your mom is. Tande, you know how your mom is.
Yeah, that's a mad
And it's
thing.
not just him who said that. Everyone around me, my aunties would say, you know how she is. And it was just normal behavior.
That's basically normalizing
So,
abuse.
absolutely. And after a while, you're just like, okay, it's normal. And when I tell you, things got hectic even more when my half sister and her mom moved to where we were now, to maybe, I don't know, a few years after we'd left, right? So that's like when we'd moved across, they moved so that they would join us and be in the same city. Oh, Tinto, my way. It was as though like something broke in her. Something broke, and she was horrendous. She was mean, and she couldn't be mean to my dad. She had to be mean to us. So there's this one story that is always going to stay with me. She bought me a car. Again, we're doing really beautiful things for me. Thank you so much. She bought me a beautiful car. I was just learning to drive, and my dad, again, this whole secrecy, said, "Hey, let's go meet with your half sister. We'll go to the beach and we'll go hang out again." I said, okay. And I'm thinking in my mind, I was conflicted. I was like, I need to tell my mom.
Wait, I'm confused. So your dad has got a 2-year-old at that time, who was a few months
at the time,
either older or younger than your own sister. Your dad then got married to the mum.
Yes.
So your biological mum knows that there's another woman in this picture.
Correct.
We are sister wives together. And she knew that there's a child, right?
Yes.
So why would it be a secret that a married man would be seeing his other children?
It was a secret that we were seeing her.
You guys?
So me and my sister, yes.
Why would that be a secret? Because it's the same family. Did
correct, but for her, for mom, it was like out of sight, out of mind. Right. It was like, you did this thing, you have it over there. I want nothing to do with it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to experience it. Keep it over there.
Okay, so it's a case of saying, cool, I'm okay with it. This is what the reality is, but keep it out of my face.
Yes.
Yo.
Correct. Now, imagine secretly your children are now going to meet with this woman and a child.
Bruh. Yeah.
And hey, when I tell you it's a small town, so we went to go have lunch. Yes, whatever. Dad said, hey, please don't say anything. Keep in mind, I'm driving the car that was bought for me.
By your mom.
I get to the house, yes. We get home. And my dad's not there because he's gone to the other house. Also, just to let you know, because I missed this part, he was alternating houses. So 1 week he would stay with us, 1 week he would stay with them.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So at this point, he's gone to the other house. It's just me and my sister now. So she comes up to me. I'm in the kitchen. I'm cooking. She says, so what did you do today? I said, I drove. We went to the beach. We hung out at the beach. It was really lovely. And yeah. Oh, okay. Who was there? Oh, it was me, my sister, and dad. Oh, okay. Just the three of you?
Yeah. Okay.
And at this point, I'm like, oh man, here we go. Okay. And I said, yes. And she absolutely lost it. She lost it. She was screaming, how dare you lie to me? I have people around who saw you at the beach, who called me. And she absolutely lost it to the point where we were literally in the corner, me and my sister crying. And keep in mind, I'm like a teenager at this point. I'm able to maintain my emotions. I can control myself. but we're crying. And I'm on the phone calling dad, shaking. Please come home. Please come home. And all he can hear is her screaming. Because at this point, it's like there's no break. It was like she would go away and she would come back and she would continue. And it was just constant until my dad came, and then we were able to, even then we tried to step away to go into my room. And at this point my sister is shaking, she's crying, she's a child, right? And she's just, I'm sort of trying to comfort her and say, it's okay. You know, I've closed the door, I've given her headphones so that she can like, you know, not hear the noise. But they come into the room, and then now they're involving us into this conversation. And Tinto, I'm screaming, please get out. Please leave. Can't you see she's upset? Please go.
Sure.
And it was just
this is
constant.
That, parentification you spoke about earlier coming into play, because you're giving emotional support to your sister. You're being given the premature responsibility of ensuring that she is okay emotionally. You're suppressing your needs as a child to be taken care of. And there's a sheer lack of boundary between them parents and you. You're feeling a sense of guilt, I guess, that you've exposed the story that's now resulting in you guys being shouted at.
Yeah.
Sure.
And it was a collective shouting. It wasn't like, you were told to keep a secret. And I understand that's a really difficult place for you as a child to be in. It was collectively, we were all getting it. Collectively. We were all horrible collectively. Even this little child who has no idea what's going on was also involved. So at this point, after this, we kind of simmered down. But what I clocked in that moment was, okay, cool. And as she's yelling at me, she says, that's my car. Like, that's my car that I gave to you. How dare you use that car? And it was just a constant thing that kept coming up. Yeah. I bought you that car. How dare you treat me like this because I bought you that car? Oh, I was like, yeah, all right, you can keep the car. So I literally gave her back the keys and I said, that's your car to keep. And then after things had simmered down, she was now like, no, it's okay. Why aren't you driving your car? This, that. I said, no. You said what you said and that's it. We're not going to do this. So I literally ended up buying my own car. But also what this taught me at like a very young age, again, I was like very young, between those 16 and 18 period, I was working a lot of jobs because I was like, never again will you catch me needing money from you. Because gifts were literally apologies. Instead of coming and sitting us down and saying, hey guys, I'm really sorry that this happened. It'd be, I bought you guys something. And we just had to move on.
Yeah, to pacify you, isn't it?
Yeah, just, no, I love you. Not even I love you. It would never come out, I'm sorry, nothing. It was just, here you go, I got you something, and that's it. So at this point, fast forward, I finish uni because we're still dealing with all of this stuff, but maybe not the same scale of how bad that was, because I just decided I'm not gonna see that woman again. I'll just keep it. I'll keep it, respectful, because people were now saying, but that's your mother. You should, protect your mother. You don't know who that woman is. You should not be spending any time around her. Okay. I understood, and I was like, all right, no worries. So I kept my distance. But I eventually moved. So I'm now 23, 24. I decide I'm going to move to a different state. So I'm just going to move to a different city. Can't do this anymore. I need to choose myself. So I moved. And at the time, my sister was 15. So that was really hard for her because obviously she's losing the protector, right? The one that stood in between, the one that got the brunt, and I would protect her. But at this point, I just was like, I can't do this anymore. It's too much. And I left. And I literally packed up absolutely everything I could in the 20 kgs that I was allowed, and everything else I threw out or I sold. I was like, I'm not coming back. So I made it very clear that this is not my space anymore. No room to come back. Yeah. And I left. And when I tell you, for that period of time that I was there, our relationship was so much better because I was so far away.
When you say better,
I know
it was better how?
Tinto. That was my girl. We would call each other every day. She was giving me advice. I was telling her about my boyfriends, like any work advice that I needed. That was my girl. All of a sudden, we were like fine. All of a sudden.
Mm.
So I'm like, but at this point, I'm very certain I'm not going back, right? Because anytime I would go and visit, there was this turbulentness about her. She was angry. Like if I was about to leave, she'd be angry at me because I'm leaving. But instead of saying I'm gonna miss you, it was just like, almost you're abandoning me. One day she threw a spoon at my head whilst I was sitting down, just because to get my attention because she was so angry at me.
Sure.
So I just knew, I was like, okay, I'm not going to go back, because anytime this would happen, we would call each other the next day and it was like nothing happened.
No apology, nothing?
Nothing. Just, hey, how are you going? How's work? How's life? How's this? Like nothing happened.
Sure. Yeah, okay.
So fast forward, I end up getting married.
Oh.
Now, in the time, like before that, when I was dating the guy, when I was engaged, she was so happy, Tinto. She was happy. She was like, oh my God, my son-in-law. She was so nice. And at this point, her and my dad just keep saying, you guys need to move back. You need to move back. You need to come back. You need to be close to family. What if you have kids? Guys, you need to come. And this was, I wish I'd never made this decision, but I eventually, me and my husband eventually decided that we're going to go back. We're going to go stay there and be close to family.
You see, now I'm curious about that because I'm assuming you met your husband wherever you were staying at the time.
Yes.
Did he have any ties to the area, like family, friends?
No, so I had my family, like my cousin. I lived with my cousin where we were. He didn't. He had really close friends, and that was really hard decision for him to make. But I think grand scheme of things, the way he thought about it was like, friends are one thing when you have kids, but family is more important, because family, it doesn't matter. They will stand by you. They will protect. They will come to your house and look after your child, whether you like it or not, or whether they like it or not, So in our minds, we were both like, okay, I think we should just choose family because I think this would be better for us.
Yeah, you see, I was asking that question because I'm assuming you and your husband would have spoken about the nature of your relationship with your mother.
Yes, and I don't think he understood how bad it was, genuinely.
Okay.
Because I had a bit of I don't know if this is a good idea. I just don't feel like it's safe. But at the same time, I'm being shown a different person, right? Like when we're apart, she's amazing. So in my mind, I was like, maybe I need to give it a chance. Like, Tande, maybe this person has changed.
I guess you hadn't been away from her enough times to pick up the pattern, because it sounds like a pattern to me.
It was, but I was away for 10 years. I was away for a long time.
Oh, 10 years.
I was away for a while.
Yo, but that's enough time for you not to even bother going back.
True, but I was like, family,
but what did you miss about her in particular? I know you missed your sister and your dad.
I think what I missed, I just thought she was going to be different.
You hoped she was going to be different.
Exactly. I hoped and I put in faith that, okay, she's, now that I'm a married woman, it's going to be different. That's in my mind.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
And, now that I'm an adult and we've built a relationship where we can be honest with each other, still no apologies and no acknowledgements and gifts. And I would never accept any money. I only accepted money once when I was in uni. And that was dangled on me so much that I ended up saying, take it back, please.
Yeah.
Right? So it was something that I knew was a pattern, but because I hadn't seen it in a while, I was like, I'm so hopeful that this is going to work out. So we went back, we moved. And at the time, so keep in mind, the house had my mom, my sister, my mother-in-law, and my husband and me. And it's a 4-bedroom house. Because we were staying there, we hadn't found a place yet.
Your mother-in-law moved with you and your husband?
Yes, temporarily. She was visiting.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah.
Yes. So 3 weeks we stayed in that house. I immediately regretted it. So, oh my God, there's no change here. Because what was happening is my mother-in-law and I have a really great relationship. She loves me. I love her. We're so kind to each other. We respectfully interact with each other. Like, there's just so much love. And it's there, right? She hated that. My mother hated that. She actually was making so much effort to put me against her and vice versa. So she would go and have lunches with my mother-in-law and be like, what kind of wife is this? She does this and that. Who does that? She doesn't even cook that much. Like, what is she doing? What is she wearing? What kind of girl is this? My mother is telling my mother-in-law this. And my mom-in-law would come back and say, Tande, this is the conversation that happened. Every time. And in my mind, I was like, oh my God, you know what? It's okay. We just need to find a house. We just need to move out and everything will be fine. So I was suppressing myself because I was like, I don't want to give into this. I just need peace. Let her keep doing whatever she's doing. And at this point as well, she's also trying to block us from moving. So she's like, no, you guys need to stay. You need to stay so you can save a house. So don't leave. Don't leave. Don't move out. You guys need this. And every time we'd go to see like house inspections, would come back, we'd talk about it. She would be angry.
Angry at what?
Angry at the fact that we were trying to move out.
Okay.
How I buy the groceries in this house. I do everything in this house. How dare you do this stuff without me?
Right.
Without me knowing. We ended up not saying anything. So we ended up just being quiet and going to house inspections and again, very just suppressing as much as possible. We eventually found a house that we were going to move into. And then my dad, because he was away, he came back on holiday. And I'm thinking my dad is, thank God my person is here, right? I start telling him, hey, this is what happened. This is the behaviors that have been happening. Can you please speak to her? And he says, you know how she is. It's okay. Just let it go.
Oh, same statement. Even he hasn't changed what he says.
Even he hasn't changed. So that hurt me because I was like, what is even the point? And at this point, keep in mind, I've also been away for 10 years. I've done a lot of therapy. I've sort of come to this understanding of forgiveness and forgive your parents. They don't know any better. I started to sort of see the role my dad played in all of this, where he was passive. He let things happen. He was not proactive as a parent. Right? And so when this happened, it was almost like, okay, you just validated everything that I've been talking about in therapy, right? Like, wow, nothing has changed. So I think she started to see that I was distancing. And so she pulled me aside. My mom was like, what's wrong with you? And I just absolutely lost it. I said everything that I was thinking, feeling, everything that I was hurt. I know you've been having conversations with my mom. Like, why are you getting involved in that? That's ridiculous. And she, for the first time ever, apologized. I'm sorry. And she was like, she admitted to being jealous. She actually said, my mother-in-law used to hate me and she would treat me so poorly. And it hurts me to see that you don't have that. Oh. Like she's treating you better. Because that's not what I'm used to. And I'm like, whoa, I don't understand that, because how do you see me being treated with love and care by another mother and then think that that's not what I deserve?
Yeah.
And I just, at this point, I just said, okay, she's apologized. I think all I heard was she had the apology at this point. I heard the jealous, but I was like, no, okay, we're good. I've never heard you say that before, so we're good. And so after this, we moved out. Everything was fine. She didn't come to the house because she didn't want to. She didn't want to be involved with our move because she felt personally attacked that we moved and we did something without her. Anyway, we went, fast forward to Christmas one day. We had Christmas over at their house.
Just before Christmas. So your mother-in-law and your husband now know that your dad has got 2 wives and he lives in between houses.
Yes.
Did they have anything to say about that?
It was a secret. So he would secretly leave the house.
And
so that was never addressed or acknowledged. They knew that I had a half sister because she was at the wedding, but that nothing was discussed.
Okay. Yeah.
Again, secrecy, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's secrecy, but it's also, I guess, being respectful because these 2 grown people, which is your husband and your mother-in-law, clearly know what's up. They can see what's up, but they're just choosing not to say anything about it.
Yeah, everyone was just not saying anything. Yeah. So, fast forward to the Christmas party.
Yeah.
We had a Christmas party, and my husband is completely different to my dad. He is very vocal. He will stand up for me. He'll stand up for himself. And that's what happened at the Christmas party. There was an interaction with another person, a guest we didn't know, who kind of was causing issues between him and my husband. And he stood up and he said, hey, don't disrespect me. But on top of that, he also left because he needed some time to cool down, right? My mother-in-law was also there. She said, hey, my son is leaving and he's angry and he's driving. Let me go after my son. So we all went out to just make sure that my husband was okay, right? We even got in the car, we went for a drive, and we came back. When we came back, I know it was a thing. It was, how dare you disrespect me and the guests in my house? Why did you leave? Because you've just, in front of everyone, you've just disrespected me. You shouldn't have left. You should have just kept quiet and not said anything, even if you were upset. So this Christmas party drama happened, and we had silent treatment during New Year's. So no one spoke to us. They said to us, we don't want to speak to you right now. We just needed for you to give us space because we're so mad at us collectively as a family, like me, my husband, and his mom. So we don't need to talk to you. So when my mother-in-law left, she left upset because obviously this has happened, and they were angry at each other for God knows why. But it was just so much anger that was being thrown at my mother-in-law, which I think now is jealousy because she saw how my mother-in-law protected her son. And she would never do that. So she was angry. How dare you? And also on top of that, she was leveraging all the things she's done for my mother-in-law while she's been in the 3 weeks we've lived with her. I did this for you. I took you out. I paid for this. I gave you clothes. I this. And my mother-in-law was like, you don't do that with me. I don't know who you think this is, but that's not me. So she was also feeling quite like disrespected. How dare she take my stuff and not, be thankful and treat me and grovel and cry. So after this, they ended up speaking to us maybe 4 weeks after New Year's Eve. Keeping in mind, Tinto, we're here. We have no family. We have no one. We have no friends. So New Year's Eve, we were alone. And no one thought to check in. How are you guys? Nothing. My dad literally didn't even say anything. He didn't contact us. He didn't call. He didn't text. He didn't anything.
Which was unusual for you because remember you described your dad as your guy.
Yeah, my guy, bro. I literally spoke like so many good things about you. How are you treating me like this? And my husband was like, what is this? Right? And and at the same time, we ended up having a conversation, and then we moved on from the conversation.
What was the conversation?
Hey, the conversation was heated because I was angry, and I usually don't speak like that to my parents. But it was, you guys, it was more so anger at my mother-in-law. How dare she just leave like that? Also, my husband saying, you should be silent. You should never let someone do that to you. Even if your wife is being attacked, you should just keep quiet. So basically it was keep quiet. We don't need any issues. Just keep quiet.
And receive all the torture and the pain and the abuse.
Correct.
Nah.
Yes. Take it. Because that's, my dad was saying, that's what men do, is just it. And I was like, oh. No, not my husband. My husband is not that type of man. And thank God. And we just ended up saying, okay, let's just move on. But I was angry, and I let them know I was not going to tolerate this anymore. And I said, the silence that you guys did, this is the first and last you ever treat us like that. That's not going to happen again. Yeah, okay, everyone apologize. We're not gonna do the silent treatment again. Okay, great. Did it not happen again?
It happened again.
It happened again. We literally had gone and traveled together, Tinto. We had a great time. We had an awesome time. This is months later, a few months after this. We're thinking everything is all good now. Everyone's happy. All of a sudden, and we'd asked my mom at that point to help us to buy a house. So all we needed was a specific amount of money that we were going to pay her back, but we just needed it so that it looks good in our account, right? And she gave us half of that money. And then all of a sudden, silent.
Why?
And there was this anger. I couldn't even, to this day, I can't even tell you what happened. I don't know. To this day, I have no idea. But it was not until 4 months later when they spoke to us again.
Sure.
We literally, at that point, we literally returned the money. She would give me thumbs up. She never interacted with me. How are you? Nothing. No calls, nothing. I literally said, you know what, this house, it can wait. We will do this alone. I just returned the money because I was like, we don't need this. We didn't speak to anyone until November. November again. How are you? How's things? Yeah, we miss you guys. No acknowledgement. No, hey, this is what happened. Nothing. And we're like, okay. So we just again move on with our lives, right? Right. And at this point, because I said, hey, once one and done, you're not going to do that again. I had now just reduced contact. I was now, if they wanted to see us, it would be like maybe once a month. And it would be not because I said it, because we had to. Or if someone's birthday, then we'll do a birthday lunch or dinner or whatever the case may be. But I'd completely removed myself from the family unit altogether at this point.
Because you felt the need to protect yourself and to protect your peace.
100%. And also because even my relationship with my sister was not the same, because my sister was, sort of playing into mom's stuff. She wanted things from her. She works with her, and she would be receiving good like gifts and stuff. So she kind of tolerated, just like my dad, just took it. So our relationship was different. My dad's relationship and I was different. And there was just, I just removed myself altogether. Like New Year's, Christmas, we just do not even interact. This and that. Hi, how are you? And that's literally it. And literally recently, as of like maybe a few weeks ago, because me and my husband are planning our traditional wedding, but from his culture side.
Yeah.
right? So we're gonna have 3 weddings altogether,
Mad.
but we're planning from right from
Y'all's are rich, bruv.
we do what we do. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So we're organizing that, and they knew this ahead of time. They knew this months ago because we've been talking about it since last year, and all of a sudden, 2 months before.
I was going to ask, what was
All of
their
a sudden,
general response to you telling them? Because there's a difference between
happiness,
informing people
joy.
and then them being a part of it and feeling like they're a part of it. So what was their general attitude and support?
So at the time, it looked as though it was happiness and joy. It was like, oh, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get this involved. And it seemed as though, obviously, we didn't ask for any money because we don't need it. But it was just a letting you know, hey, you guys, if you want to come, you can. And this is what we're doing, and this is where we're going. And it was positive, and they even bought tickets and they RSVP'd and everything was fine until maybe a few weeks ago now that my mom just decided out of nowhere to just raise hell. And she called my husband, yelling at him, how dare you, no one told me that you guys were doing this. Why didn't any of the elders communicate with me? Why didn't you, like, it was almost like, why didn't your mom-in-law, why didn't she call me to ask me for me to attend?
So who did the RSVPs? Your mom or?
She did. Pinto. So what? Are you serious? And I'm like, imagine planning a wedding is so stressful. We're financially stressed. We're managing ourselves. We have 2 months left to go. And this is what you decide to do now? So I absolutely lost it. I was like, yeah, it's almost something switched in my head. And I was like, I'm tired of this. Everyone is tolerating this behavior and I'm tired. And I exploded. And not to her, because I just was like, it's not even going to help. But I just absolutely and I'd speak to my auntie. My auntie was like, but this is how she is. She does it to all of us. And I said, so it's okay? And honestly, since then, we have not spoken at all because I even blocked them at one point. Sure. Because I just was like, I can't do this anymore. On top of that, when we have kids, now more so, I'm like, I don't want you around my kids. It's not even safe. And I guess sort of the generational part that I'm sort of trying, and I think this is where I've sort of, reflected is my grandmother was cheated on by her husband and he had wives. And that's on my paternal side. My grandmother on my mom's side was also cheated on. And they stayed. And my mother has also stayed, right? And they people were not happily married. Of course, how can you be happily married to a man who has multiple wives? Yeah. So now you're seeing me and you're seeing my husband and I, we have a great relationship. We love each other. We're so caring and kind and compassionate. And it's like, how dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you be happier than me?
Yeah.
And now I'm going to make sure I destroy absolutely everything that I can.
Because you shouldn't be this happy. You must be like me.
No, you shouldn't be.
You should be able to
mirror suffer
what I am.
like me.
Yeah, you should be able to mirror what I am as a parent.
Exactly. You should suffer. You should not be having a good life. You should struggle.
Yeah.
And it's just so disappointing. And I think the reason why my brain just kind of ticked over was I just eventually realized this is just going to continue if I let it forever.
Yeah.
This cycle of abuse where, you're in the honeymoon phase, everything is happy, everyone's nice. And then all of a sudden something triggers you and then you lose it. And then now we're being back to, I've done this and this for you. how dare you treat me like, even this wedding, because she'd offered to do something. She'd offered to plan a party for us. Let me finish. Tinto, this conversation was, I am paying for everything. I am planning this party. You are going to respect me. That's what the conversation was.
And they're telling
I didn't
you,
ask you to do this.
They're telling you as an individual with her own family unit. You're a husband and you're a wife. And someone is telling you, I am doing this for you.
For you.
And you have to listen.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
On top of that, you're yelling at my husband on the phone. How dare you pick up the phone to yell at someone else's child? And my mother-in-law, she's an angel. She literally called my mom to say, hey, I heard there's a problem. What's the problem? And it was essentially, if you don't come, if you don't do this, then I won't do that. If you don't come to the party, then I won't do this. But no one asked you to do it.
I'm starting to see where the conditional love is not love. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's really coming through now. Yeah.
And so essentially that's where it comes, the last lesson of like peace, like seeking peace, because now that I'm sort of seeing, oh my God, this is a cycle of abuse. I've just completely limited contact. I can't have interactions with you anymore. Like, it's not even healthy for me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's not healthy for me and my husband. It's not healthy. If I have children, God willing, I don't want them to deal with this. Ever. And it's this trauma that's happening is going to stop with me. We're not going to continue going through this motion anymore. It's not possible.
It's really good that you've picked up on that.
It took me a very long time.
I can only imagine how much time it took you to finally decide. Because, I know you had the 10-year gap, which gave you a bit of peace. But what that made you do was forget just how difficult and terrible the situation you were dealing with in the past was. And in a funny way, and take this the right way, it's a good thing that you were reminded.
Correct. It's good that I know now.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Because now you've had both sides of the story. You've been the way you've gone back, and things have been exactly the same.
Yeah. And now I can laugh about it, but really it's so traumatic having to live in an uncertain household. And what they don't tell you is, like, being a parentified child, like, it's completely changed how I interact with people as well, right? Like, I don't trust people that often. I don't really have that many friends because I'm just like, women. I've been sort of working through the avoidant attachment style for a very long time, where I can now, show affection and love and care and actually tell people what I need. And that took me a very long time to work through. So I think, like, having gone through that therapy has helped me to pick it up quicker, because this whole sort of issues started 3 weeks when we moved here, and I picked it up straight away, and I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. And if I hadn't gone through that work, I would have continued in the same cycle.
You've done very well.
Thank you.
So you're doing this limited contact thing, and how long has this limited contact been going on for?
Well, I think I would probably say a couple of years where I've just not been engaging as much. But I think now, more so since this whole wedding drama has started, I've just realized I don't even want to do the small dinners and the small lunch. I don't even want to do that. I don't want to pretend anymore that I'm okay with the behavior, because I'm not. So it's essentially now that I've sort of said, okay, I'm not even I try and attempt to try and fix this, because there's nothing to fix. It is what it is.
No, there really is nothing to fix, because what you've just described there is a very common reality. I know a lot of friends who have parents who treat their children very poorly, and yet they act really kind and pleasant towards strangers.
Yeah.
And there are various psychological and social reasons why this might be the case, but the primary thing is that children are safe targets in quotes, because some parents like your mom feel that it's okay for them to vent their anger and frustration on children because children are dependent, and children are expected to be forgiving, and they're also expected to be less likely to retaliate. So they can hurl this abuse knowing that there are no consequences. However, with strangers or friends, they know that there's a social consequence, primarily judgment.
Exactly.
Judgment that comes. So parents are on their best behavior because they don't want outsiders to be judging what they're about. Because remember, in your definition of a narcissist, I think you're saying that they have an exaggerated sense of self-importance.
Yes.
And so they want that to always be the case. And the fact that she was working a whole lot more and earning more than your dad supports that requirement. The grandeur, the display, the aura, the resourcefulness. So now if I'm acting funny and I'm unkind, I'm going to get judged. And then this thing that I feed off, which is the grandeur, the praise, is no longer supported.
Exactly.
Secondly, some parents care more about how they appear to others than they actually do at home, because being pleasant to strangers is seen as protecting their reputation, and they appear like a good parent in public. And
even now, like, there's no way you could say that this is what's happening. No one would know. There's no one that knows.
Yeah. You see, and there's this lack of emotional regulation. Which is an important thing. I really don't want to go back to a discussion again. That was a bone of contention on the podcast with that woman who was shouting at a poor girl called Chioma.
Oh yes, I saw that.
I get it. Yeah, it's okay to have a really difficult moment that you're seeing red, but regulate your emotion enough in the presence of children. I stand by it. I stand 10 toes. People can say everybody's allowed to feel how they feel. Yeah, fine. Feel exactly how you want to feel. Just be respectful of the children. Don't do it in front of the kids.
Yeah.
Right?
Because we remember, it stays with you for life.
Yeah, it does. And you did not need to see knives as weapons. You didn't need to be hit by a spoon. You didn't need to be put in a corner and have two parents screaming and shouting in your room and you're pleading on your sister's behalf. You had no need for that. People will say, yeah, it's good to see that because it's character building. For who?
No way.
You see what I mean? It's character building for who? It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And this kind of behavior, again, like you said, might be unresolved trauma. Because I don't know how much you know about your mom's family and how she grew up, because you didn't touch on that at all. Does she have sisters, cousins, aunties, brothers?
She has a lot of sisters. Again, does it with everyone. So what? Two of her siblings don't even talk to her anymore because of this.
Right.
She does the same thing where she dangles things and money, and but then there's a few sisters where she actually supports them, like financially, so they need her. And my grandparents also they cop abuse from her all the time too.
Sure.
So because she's got money, right? She can do whatever she wants, and the house that my grandparents live in is her house that she paid for.
Bruh.
So, and she was the oldest daughter, so there was a lot of pressure on her as well. And from what I've heard about my grandma, she was extremely strict, and expected perfection from them because they were pastors' kids.
The church dynamic.
So she grew up in the
church dynamic and how you look on the outside. Okay.
Right. You see it. Yeah.
I was just gonna add and say, it sounds like there's unresolved trauma and some conditioning. So they might be, she might be repeating things that she learned in childhood. Which is
definitely
love mixed with criticism and neglect or abuse, and maybe she might just be mimicking some emotional dynamics that she experienced. Well, often they say subconsciously, but this sounds to me like it's a very conscious effort, like trying to be forceful with your wedding to say, I am doing this, and you must listen.
Yeah.
It sounds like she seeks dominance and control, and children by nature are much easier to overpower than strangers, because strangers can come with the same power or even more. And I really like how you touched on the narcissistic tendencies, because it really does feel like her personality is split between a public and a private persona. The public being charming, generous, and kind, and then the other one being very cold and abusive. And this duality is normally in
Yeah.
place to maintain control and deny
Yeah.
any wrongdoing, because she never said sorry until the one time she said sorry, and you're like, okay, how far? What's going on here?
Mm.
You know. So,
And even that was a control, right? Like, I still want access to your life, because if you leave this house, I won't have access to you. There's nothing that I'm controlling you. You don't need my money. You don't need anything. So there was also, to some degree, I see that now as probably control, because she knew the moment I walk out of that door, I was going to be done.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, when a parent is kind to others but cruel to their children, is not the child's fault. So this has never been your fault. It's never been your sister's fault. It should never be.
Yes.
And I hope you don't take it personally.
Not at all. This is just what it is.
You know, it's just, for me, I think it just reflects some deep emotional insecurity and some unhealed trauma. You know, and you recognizing that this is the pattern is a very important step that you've taken, and congratulations for that.
Thank you.
You know, that definitely is a step in the right direction. As far as your dad goes, you know, yeah, you guys have a great relationship and stuff, but there's a lot of
not anymore, to be honest.
No,
not anymore. I see the passive nature as just you enabled a lot of this,
right?
And a lot of this is because of you. You know, and if you had done something, even now, like even this whole wedding thing, he didn't say anything. He just tolerated you. He was also part of the behavior of causing and threatening to say, well, we're not going to come if you guys keep doing this. And, you know, I've never heard him say things like that before, but it's just like, you are also part of the behavior, but you're also part of the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, not anymore. That's done.
Well, I wish you and your husband happiness, success, and you've already broken the chain, because you don't want to repeat what has happened.
Yes.
Please look out for your sister.
Yes.
Yeah, because you said that she's exhibiting some traits and kind of behaviors that she needs to exhibit for her to get the benefit of somebody who's been financially and emotionally abusive. Please keep an eye out for her.
Yeah.
That's really, really, really important. Well, thanks, Tande, for sharing that. You know, just like your name says, joy bringer. I think you are a joy bringer primarily to yourself, and I think you want the same for your household. And,
yes,
and you
absolutely.
And you shared 3 lessons. Number 1, intergenerational trauma repeats until it is addressed. Number 2, conditional love is not love. And number 3, seeking peace can mean creating distance and choosing yourself, and that is not betrayal. You know, stay true to those, and I'm fairly sure you're going to have a happy marriage and you'll have peace.
Thank you.
For the rest of your days.
Amen.
Yeah. And you guys have been listening to another episode of The Phoenix Station. I'm your host, Tinto, and I will catch you in next week's episode.